Hello, this is the Week 12 video for Ms. G's Comp 1 and Comp 2 classes. The activities I'm going to cover apply to both classes, although some deadlines after class will be different. The course I'm in right now is Comp 2, and I will do a separate section at the end for Comp 1's after class activities. So our in-class activity today has to do with our final portfolios that are due at the end of the semester. Now, we've been using portfolios all along, and I call those working portfolios. And working portfolio is basically a filing cabinet with drawers in it for every student. A final portfolio is more of a presentation portfolio, or what we think about when we think of an artist showcasing their best work to try to get a job. Our portfolios are going to showcase our best work and some of our not best work, but it's a chance for us to show what we've learned this semester. So in this video, I'm going to walk students through how to start a Google site, which is what will house your final portfolio. I'll look at the final portfolio assignment sheet and look at some examples of former student portfolios. And as I mentioned before, I'll look at the after class stuff at the end of the video. So the first thing I ask students to do is navigate to sites.google.com/new. sites.google.com/new. You should be using Chrome as your browser because other browsers don't love working with sites. And you should also be logged into your student account so that it's associated with UCM. The first step to creating a site is to just click this plus sign for a blank site. The very first thing you're going to do is give your site a title. I would like you to give it a name that is easily identifiable as belonging to you. So something with your last name in it. If you have a common last name, a first name helps too. But this will help me find yours out of the hundreds that I have already received. So something like Gladfelter Spring 2021 or just Spring 21 portfolio. Something along those lines. So the controls for your Google site are on the right hand instead of the top like we would see in Docs, but we see a lot of the similar uses such as insert. And one of the reasons I like using Google Sites is because we can connect to our regular portfolios to insert documents. So to do that, we would go to insert and then click on Drive. You guys would click on Shared with Me. Mine live in my drive since I created them, but you would go to your class and then go ahead and enter something from your portfolio. And it's easy as double clicking. We can add YouTube videos and other Google sort of suite items. The second tab over here is Pages, and that's where we'll manage our tabs. So right when we create our website, we only have a home page. But let's say I wanted to add a page or a tab for all my essays. So I would click that plus sign down in the bottom right-hand corner, and it's created a new tab for me called Essays. So in that way we can add and change around. We can edit the names. Let's say I wanted to call this first page about me. Okay, or maybe I wanted to rearrange them. I would do all of that here. The last tab is Themes, and it's just a set of fonts and colors that we can maybe use as we start setting up our portfolio. I encourage students, though, to personalize beyond these templates, and that's super easy to do in terms of changing images. You can upload your own image. Of course, you'll want to pick ones that are long and skinny to fit that size a little bit better. And there are also stock images that you can choose from that Google has created. So that's a nice personalization aspect that we can use. I've also suggested to my students the website Canva, C-A-N-V-A, as a useful website for creating banners. I used it to create banners for all of my classes in Blackboard because it makes it easier for me to find them when I'm looking at all of them together. So that's something you could use if you want to personalize it instead of using a photo. Next, I'd like to look at a few former student examples. The first one is from a Comp 1 class, and this student created a homepage that shows their personality without showing pictures of themselves, which is perfectly fine. They had a tab for all of their essays, a tab for their revision, and a tab for their letter. And I'm going to talk about the revision and letter here in a moment. This student here had a little bit more personalized in terms of pictures of themselves with their family. And then they created a tab for each essay, which is something else that students find to be useful. And I don't care how you have it organized as long as it is organized and things are easy to find. For example, this last student put everything on one page, and that was fine because everything was very clearly marked and easy to find. So part of this assignment is choosing how you want your portfolio to look and how you want people to navigate through it. And I just encourage you guys to play with the controls. I gave students about 10 minutes to play with it in class, but definitely play with it over the next month or so before the final portfolio is due so that it looks like you want it to look and expresses your personality. So now I'm back in Blackboard, and the next thing I want to do for both classes is look at the final portfolio assignment sheet. And you'll find that in the Week 12 in-class materials folder, and there's a link to a folder called Final Portfolio Information. Now that takes us to a folder that lives in the Syllabus and Course Documents tab. So if you ever want to go back to it, just go to Syllabus and Course Documents, Final Portfolio Information. The final portfolio assignment looks very similar for both Comp 1 and Comp 2. I'm looking at the Comp 2 assignment sheet right now, and the only thing that's different for Comp 1 students is you don't have an annotated bibliography. So that's the only difference beyond some due dates, which I'll talk about here in a moment. But all of the pieces of the assignment are the same. And the first piece of that is the actual Google site that you are creating. So we started it today. But by the deadline, you should have a certain number of things in it. The first two are your portfolio letter and the essay revision, which are detailed on this assignment sheet, and I'll talk about in just a moment. You should also have graded copies of your first 4 essays. When I say graded copies, what I mean by that is the one that I've marked on and given an end comment to. So you want to make sure they're all in there. Comp 2 students will want to make sure you have a copy of your annotated bibliography. And then for both classes, a link to and writer's memo for your final. And we're going to talk about those in both classes during Unit 5. Beyond that, your portfolio should show your personality. Like I was saying, personalize it, give it give it some flair. And for all of that, you'll earn 25 points by making sure everything's in there and giving it some individualization. That's it. The second part is the portfolio letter, and the letter itself is the same. The Comp 1 portfolio letter is worth 35 points, but other than that, the questions are the same in terms of some topics that you can address in your letter. This is more topics than you will need to address because this letter only needs to be 1.5 pages long. So there's more than enough prompts and ideas of things that you could write about in it. This letter should be addressed to me. I am your audience, so you should be thinking about how to convey to me the journey that you've been on this semester, basically. And it should also refer to specific activities. This should be your journey, not someone else's journey. So I'm looking for thoughtful and reflective letters. I did put some examples for both classes in this same folder where we found the assignment sheet. And I just ask students, of course, not to paraphrase or copy them. Those are just there in terms of giving you an idea of what students have done with this assignment in the past. The last item on the assignment sheet is the details about the required revisions. So for both classes, I'm requiring students to revise 1 essay from the semester. And I've touched on this, at various times, as well as the letter. I've talked about it when we do rhetorical reflections, that those are notes to your future self. And this is what I'm talking about, this letter that you're writing at the end of the semester. Same thing with the revision. I've always asked you, what would you change if you could? And that's pointing to this assignment where you get the chance to change one of your essays. Most students choose their lowest scoring essay because the new essay grade will replace the original assignment's grade. So it makes sense to revise an essay that earned a 70 because you can earn 30 points as opposed to one that earned a 90 because you can only earn 10 more points. So mathematically it makes more sense, and of course growth-wise it makes more sense to choose an essay that did poorly. Depending on the feedback that I gave you, you should work on organization, content, all of those ingredients. But again, it'll depend on the feedback I gave you. So if I told you on essay 2 and you're revising essay 2 that content was fine but organization was bad, I will especially be looking to see if you looked at organization in the revision. I do have a caveat for that required essay revision. Everyone must do this, and except for students who received A's on all of their essays and have a 92% or higher class grade. That's for Comp 2. The Comp 1 caveat is all A's or 90% or higher class grade. And if you fit in one of those categories, you are not required to do the essay revision. My thought process on that is that students who have been getting those grades have been already heavily revising their essays. So that's the difference between Comp 1 and Comp 2, and you should have your own in front of you. But I have the Comp 1 in front of me now, and as you can see, the list is the same except for the annotated bib is not on the Comp 1 list. So at this point in class, I gave students about 10 minutes, like I said, to kind of play around with the controls and practice with their essay. So this would be a good time to pause the video if you would like to do that and kind of play around. But when you're ready, turn it back on, and the next step is to publish your site. So to do that, you'll hit publish up here in the upper right-hand corner, and it will, this first time you hit it, suggest a website, and I always just accept it. It's obviously based on the name that we've given it. So hit publish again. And after we publish it the first time, think of publish as a save button. So every time you make edits, publish it, because our viewers, our outside viewers, won't see what we've done until we publish. If we want to see what the outside viewer will see, we can click on this preview button, and that will allow us to, get that outside view without the editing bar. The next step is to give me your link. So click on this copy publish site link button, copy that link, and then back in Blackboard in the week 12 folder where we started, there's an assignment called Google Site Link. Under Write Submission, paste that link that you just copied by hitting Control V or Command V if you have an Apple, because Blackboard doesn't like it for us to right click and paste, and just submit that to me. I'm going to get an error because I'm not a student, but you should get that green bar of success showing me that you've successfully sent me the link to your website. I won't look at your site until after the deadline. I just want to have it and show that you've started it. Unless you need help, I'll go in and look at it. But other than that, I won't look at them until after the deadline. For Comp 1 students, the deadline is midnight, May 3rd. That's the day of your final exam. And for Comp 2 students, if you're in 1 p.m. class, it's due by 11:59 p.m. May 5th. And if you're in my 2 p.m. class, it's due by 11:59 p.m. May 3rd. And those are the days of your final exams. So in terms of the deadlines for this assignment, you've already created and submitted your Google Site link. Like I said, everyone has a different deadline and it's listed on the assignment sheet. The last piece to look at, this is during week 15, the last week of class, that Thursday and Friday, I'm offering optional tutorials for students who need help with the final portfolio. So either creating it in terms of the mechanics, or just help with writing or knowing what to do for the revision. That's what those tutorials are for. So I would definitely make sure to start working on it before then so that you'll know by then if you need help. I'm almost out of time here, so for both classes you have after-class readings and quizzes, as well as your essay for second draft due by the end of this week. Comp 2 students also have an assignment called 2 sources due by the end of the week. And also very quickly, I want to look at week 13. For Comp 1 and Comp 2, there's no class on Wednesday. I'm only holding class on Monday, and it will be via Zoom.